Hello, everybody. Stu Smith. I'm asking a question today, and I want you to ask yourself the same thing. Are you a cardio machine? Now, you may be coming from a lifting background and immediately say, no, I get it. That was me. But that doesn't mean you cannot become one. It just may take some time and it may take some special structuring of your workouts so you can actually focus on muscle stamina and cardiovascular endurance versus just keeping on putting on mass and lifting heavy. Now, eventually you can get to a point where you can maintain it all if you're happy with your ability to run, ruck, and swim as well as lift. Maintaining is actually a cycle that many athletes do. I mean, think of it during the in-season training programs that they, whatever their sport is, they are working to maintain a particular level of fitness versus trying to improve, and that is a great example of what happens once you are through all of your training and now you have a job to do, whatever job that is. You want to maintain all your elements of fitness: strength, power, speed, agility, muscle stamina, endurance, flexibility, mobility, grip, along with your ability to recover well from a long day, long night of activities. You want to be able to think and learn new tactical skills. All of those are a part of the big picture that it is to become a tactical athlete. Good at all of those, not so stressed out all the time that you can't learn new skills and create new ideas to get through potentially dangerous situations. All of those are part of the journey of the operator. And that is that is really phase 3 of tactical fitness, and a lot of people screw up all the different phases because phase 1 is really just focusing on a fitness test so you can get accepted into a certain training program. For instance, if you want to become a Navy SEAL, you have to pass the physical screening test before you even get to boot camp in order to get an opportunity to go to SEAL training. Then you have to get through SEAL training in order to become phase 3, that operator I initially discussed. And the programming for both to and through are completely progressive on each other, right? I was about to say different, but they're really just progressive. So think of it this way: if you spend all your time crushing a PST, that's great. You need to do that. Your workout should look like a PST if you are preparing for a PST. Mostly calisthenics and cardio for folks that are trying to improve those scores in order to be competitive. However, once you get to that competitive level, your job now is to maintain those PST scores. Don't let them drop too much, but focus on the next level of tactical fitness, and that is getting through the hardest part of the training, which will require you to run longer, swim longer with a pair of scuba fins on this time, and ruck. So, are you a cardio machine? My initial question. I wrote an article. In fact, I'll put it in the description below. And, it really talks about becoming a cardio machine without creating a whole lot of injuries for yourself, especially if you are coming from a non running background. Um, Something that we do here all the time And when I say all the time, pretty much every Friday, we will do some form of a Spec Ops Triathlon, which is the run, swim, and the ruck. For instance, today, happy Friday, we did a 2 mile run, 2 mile ruck, and about 1,000 meter swim with fins. Not too tough. Next week, it's a 3 mile run, 3 mile ruck, 1,500 meter swim with fins. And the week after that, it's a 4 mile run, 4 mile ruck, 50 pounds, and a 2,000 meter swim with fins. So you can see the month of August, we are going to just do 3 of these in a nice progressive manner. Now we're also running probably 25 to 35 miles a week, depending on your progression right now. So, these extra miles aren't really that big a deal as far as adding a run and a ruck together. However, if they are, what you may have to do to avoid really making an overuse injury debilitating is to pull back on some of the impact activities and do some biking, rowing. More swimming is always a great idea, especially if you're going into one of the diving communities. You have to get good in the water. You might as well make your non impact cardio activity in the water. So you can still build up your cardio base, your aerobic base with significant amount of non-impact cardio activities, which will therefore get your heart and lungs in a better condition without the impact of extra miles. Now, eventually, you need to build up your legs to handle those extra miles, but that needs to be at a steady progression. And if you're a big guy, those impacts are much greater than someone 50 pounds lighter than you and who has a running background all his life. So that is where becoming a cardio machine takes some personalization to your situation. For instance, for me, coming from a powerlifting football background, and literally anything over 100 meters was long distance. And I make it sound like a joke, but it's true. I mean, I used to say that all the time. Yeah, 100. If you're running more than this field, that's long distance. Um, even a lap around the track was kind of long distance. But anyway, going into this Spec Ops journey, I knew what I needed to do. I needed to become much better at calisthenics and much better at cardio activities versus spending all my time in the weight room like I had been doing and just some time doing sprints and agilities. So I had speed, agility, strength, and power taken care of. I set that aside, and that was hard because that's what I love. That's what I've been doing for probably 8 years, primarily, throughout my teens. And setting that aside and focusing on things I was not good at doing. And when I say I was not good at doing, I mean coming in last on a mile and a half run. That sucks. Um, but in a year, I was top 10, right? So you can make these transitions, but you have to have patience and some consistency in that area of activity. You can't keep going in there to the weight room lifting heavy legs and then go for a run thinking you can work on your timed runs right afterwards, because here's what happens. You will interfere with your growth of getting stronger, but at the same time you'll interfere with your ability to maintain a certain pace while lifting heavy. It's just hard to do. It's hard to improve at both strength and that level of cardio endurance at the same time. Like you don't see growth curves of both strength and endurance happening together. What we do is through a periodization cycle is we focus on one for a good 12 weeks or so, and then we'll focus on the other one, whether it is a maintenance plan or we need to improve both. If you're going to improve both, do a to do two cycles, do a strength cycle and do an endurance cycle. Um, but eventually, especially if you are trying to become a cardio machine, you will have to do some form of mixing it together because guys who can run and guys who can swim may not be able to handle the load of a ruck for many, many miles. So they need to build up their ability to withstand the additional impact forces of that extra load. So, load bearing activities require some amount of lifting and just getting used to carrying extra weight. Um, the guys that who may have come from the strength and power background may not have a problem with rucking, maybe some of the cardio aspects of it, but as far as the durability of handling a load on your shoulders and back and hips and knees, not a big deal. Um, but they need to get faster at running and swimming. So we all have these, unique strengths and weaknesses dependent upon our athletic histories and, quite frankly, our biology. Our size and shape and strengths and weaknesses all come into play on how you adjust your training programs to make these things work. So if you're trying to become a cardio machine, my seasonal tactical fitness periodization model has a progressive buildup from what I call the spring to summer zone. And then we peak in the early fall and bring it back down a little bit in the fall and winter where we start lifting. So, workouts like this is a great way to make that steady progression and get better at running and swimming and rucking and high repetition calisthenics. However, when we get into the winter lift cycles, we are adding more rucking, shortening the runs, but keeping the speed up, and adding lifting so you can handle those rucks a little bit better as well. As well as other load bearing activities such as fireman carries and logs and boats on your heads. All of those things require a level of durability that you can get from practicing some strength training, in your programming. But you got to practice it in different models. Um, another model that is pretty good if you've just finished a winter lift cycle, you can go into the spring and focus on improving your cardio, but every fourth week you maintain some of those strength gains that you had by doing a week of lifting. So 3 weeks of calisthenics and cardio, 1 week of lifting. We've been doing that now for, I think this is our 21st week of that this year, and it has been a lot of fun. Um, it's just enough to where you can really progress in your mileage, but at the same time, that every fourth week download of deload of little less running, little less repetitions, little more weight has been a really key factor in many people um, not getting those overuse injuries. Uh, Perhaps maybe they were susceptible to in years before. Um, some people don't get injuries at all, regardless of the cycle of it. It's just they're just good, efficient runners, and so they don't tend to have those type of things that occur. But this is just another way that I have seen people who are bigger, trying to maybe even lose some muscle mass because they're just carrying a little bit too much muscle mass around. Um, to be a better, faster cardio machine. Um, One thing that is true is that people who carry around a lot of extra muscle mass, and I'm talking about like 6 foot 195, which is my framework. Um, that's still not small, but guys that are carrying around another 20 pounds of muscle mass tend to be the ones who are also the first ones getting rhabdomyolysis, which is really just a breakdown of your muscles, and it's an overuse per an event. So think of overuse injuries that can occur over a long period of time from a lot of repetitions, a lot of mileage. Rhabdomyolysis is like the short-term version of that, where it is a compounding event that occurs when you were just like going through Hell Week or going through a really hard workout that you haven't done in a long time, and it can be you have to spend some time in the hospital getting some IVs, pump fluid through you because you're probably going to start peeing blood as your muscles break down and get into your kidneys. It's pretty messed up. Look it up, rhabdomyolysis, and bigger, more muscle mass people tend to get those. So a little bit smaller um, can actually help you be a cardio machine, but you don't want to get too small that you lose some of that strength that you have had all your life. Um, so you can handle the logs, boats, and rucks as well. So as once again, it's not as simple as just following a program blindly. You have to address some of those strengths and weaknesses of your own and then personalize it for whatever those are. Doesn't mean you need to add on 20 miles at the end of the week. It just means you need to figure out what this weakness is, and maybe I need to do after this calisthenics and cardio focused cycle on the PST, I need to do a strength training program where I'm going to try to maintain my PST scores, but I need to increase my strength, or vice versa. You're going to maintain your strength while you um, try to improve your PST scores. So that's how we get through phase one of tactical fitness, and which is getting to the training, and phase two of tactical fitness, where we focus on all the elements that you are about to endure. Like if you've never put on a ruck before and you're heading to a Spec Ops selection, that's just stupid. If you've never swum with fins before and you're going into a program like Buds or Swick or Air Force PJs or Recon, you know, that's just stupid, right? So, you having some background in running, swimming, and rucking, doing the Spec Ops Triathlon is critical to your performance as a, very objective grades of a time and a distance that can make or break your Spec Ops uh, entire career, right? Because you can either fail a timed run or you can pass a timed run and move on to the next week. You fail too many events that have a time and a distance attached to it, whether it's running, rucking, or swimming, and you're done. So you have to be a cardio machine. Check out some of the links in the description of this video, and you will see many um, explanations of some of this in greater detail with Venn diagrams and graphics that can be very helpful. But at the same time, there are also links in there to these specific programs that I mentioned if you're looking at finding an answer to some of those weaknesses that you may have not considered um, when training, for your future goals. Because it's real easy to overlook a weakness. It's real easy to overlook something that you don't enjoy doing, and you would rather do something that you're good at doing. All of us do it. I would, if I have a choice, I'm going to a bench press, right? I'm been good at bench press all my life, but in the real big picture of things, does that really matter? I never had a bench press test when I was going through selection. Did it help me with push-ups? Maybe, but no, it makes no sense for me to spend all my time getting better at bench press when it's not even graded. It's kind of like the same thing as if you're really good at running, it makes no sense to be running 70, 80 miles a week to get better at running, because that's what you did when you were on the varsity cross country team. You need to take half of that at least and take that time that you were spending running that extra 40 or 50 miles a week that you don't really need and put it into lifting because you're weak. I guarantee you, if you're running 70, 80 miles a week, you are probably not from a strength and power background. So you need to introduce yourself to something you may not be good at doing yet, but it doesn't take long. You can get just as good at those as you were at running. And even if you suffer running a little bit less, a little bit slower, you're still going to kick most of the people's butts in the class because you're a great runner. Same thing for lifting. If you're a great lifter, get out of the weight room, become a better cardio athlete. You have to do that. Your lifting will be, even if you don't lift for a year, your lifting will probably still be stronger than a majority of the people in your class who are still lifting. Just the way it works. You'll be glad that you had a lifting background when you're under a boat and a log, but you won't necessarily be glad you had a lifting background when you're running 4 mile timed runs and 1 mile swims and rucking for 10 plus miles. you know it's just, it wears on you, right? And you need to introduce yourself to that kind of cardio activity if you're not used to it. So that's the journey. It's not all the same for everybody. There's no one answer, except for it depends on you, it depends on your body weight, your height, it depends on your athletic history, your current strengths and weaknesses, current PST scores. Where do you need to focus on now to get to the training and through the training? And then once you're an operator, you can figure out how you need to stay operational and healthy so that you can do your job that you've trained so hard to get there to do. So there you go. That's my Friday 2 cents spiel on the phases of tactical fitness for you. If you guys have questions, let me know. Um, you guys can send me questions at stu@stewsmith.com. I do these live on Monday and Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So check those out. Live Q&As at the end of a little discussion and some CSS critiques as well. If you need help with swimming, something I would suggest is either watch some videos on YouTube here or go to my Instagram. But if you have a TikTok page, go to TikTok at StuSmith50 and you will see me voiceover critiquing well over 100 combat swimmer stroke swims. Some are really good, some are exceptional, some are not good that need a lot of help, some are completely illegal and don't count as a combat swimmer stroke or an underwater recovery stroke. So those are types of things you can learn on that one-stop shop for, pretty much all Spec Ops swimming. So check that out as well. All right. Well, folks, until next week, I will see you later. Check out stewsmithfitness.com. And read the description of this video, and you will see other links that may help you with free running programs in there, swimming programs, and just a lot of things that can help you progress into becoming a cardio machine. This is Stu Smith. We'll see you later.